Whatever else he's, doing. I don't know.
Do you want some elevator music while we're...
Here we are.
So we're live!
Well, I was just thinking we need YYZ by Rush after that, right?
Yeah, we get slapped.
Before we started, we were just discussing who was it? Was it Spatula's keys that were so loud?
Yeah.
Yes.
This is my chat.
Yeah, and then it sounded like YYZ from Rush. I won't sing it again. I'll save everybody that. DJ's here, I think.
You're live on the internet, don't swear.
You're the same thing. Fuck, cunt, piss, shit, tits, ass, dick.
I try every time, everyone. I try every time.
Yammix is family friendly.
Provoke.
Now we've got that out of the way.
In all seriousness,
Exactly.
what I am currently doing is going into Streamlabs and muting all of my alerts.
Shippish. Thanks for reminding.
I was about to say, there are things I do every day.
That even just generated
What?
shit, didn't it? Yeah, I've got mine turned off.
Oh,
What's going on?
Ant!
You should say.
Great
Hello,
to see
Anty.
Ant with us.
Hello.
Hi, Anne. So, we do all mute alerts during the Creators Roundtable.
We do.
As a courtesy to everyone else.
Yep. Just because there's all of us here, so...
Yeah, so that's one of the reasons we don't all directly talk with chat as well. So we
That's
don't
right. That's right.
We try to
Yes.
pull up
Bit
some
unfair
good
otherwise.
questions, but
Yeah,
yeah,
we
there's
see some
limited
of
time.
that.
and stuff.
Even
So we
that
can.
we can't guarantee, can we?
Yeah.
Indeed, indeed.
So,
not being rude when we ignore people. We're not ignoring.
if we want to get started, I'll kind of kick us off today and start by introducing everybody, talk about what we'll do, and then turn the floor over. We'll start. I'm just going to go alphabetical. We've got DJ Truthsayer. Say hi, DJ.
Good evening, everybody.
Mr. Obsidian Ant.
Hello.
Let's see. Next, we've got Spatula.
Or do you?
Well, we think so. We heard his keys earlier, so we think he's here. The wonderful Turjy Starstone.
Oh, thank you, sir. Hello,
The great and powerful, the great and powerful Yammy.
Yes, greetings there, internets.
And I am Commander Deejey. So today we're obviously, let's see, what could we talk about today? Oh, I know.
Nothing exciting.
There's not. No, obviously we'll be talking about the Chapter 4 exploration live stream reveal that was yesterday. I have that linked in my description. If you guys want to throw it in your chats or whatever, you've got it to get it out to everybody. It's pretty easy to find. In short, they went over a number of different topics, primarily exploration and the Codex. Showed us some of the new lighting stuff, bunch of new stuff. Before the stream today, I told the guys, I might just kind of moderate and be a little quiet today because I don't have, I'm sure I'll chime in, but I don't have a whole lot to add in that. Honestly, all the way around, I'm pretty damn happy for the most part. With a few questions I've got, it looks like great progress. It looks like exactly what the game needs right now, which is a lot of new stuff to do. So with that, I'm going to start, unless he doesn't want me to, and hand it to Ant, since he put out such a great video last night covering it. If you guys haven't seen that, it's a great recap of it. Yeah, what did it take you, 3 hours this time to get it out?
To put it together and
then to get it out. Yeah, so why don't I let me kick it to you, Ant? We don't have to go in the order they did in the stream, the topics I put up, but where do you want to start?
No, I think we'll go with that order just so the rest of you know where we're at. So there's a bunch of different changes coming in Chapter 4. A couple of them were shown off last night. Some of us have seen some of this before. I'm sure some of you will be aware of that in chat. Just kind of preface this with what we've seen so far. I'd say is probably around about 1/3 of the content, maybe even a quarter of the content that's coming in Chapter 4. There's a lot more to come that we haven't seen yet. But there was also a bunch of things we didn't get to see. One of the things we didn't get to see during the visit to Frontier was the Ori map, so that was a bit of a surprise. And the other surprising thing we did get to see this was the night vision, and Frontier started with that on the live stream yesterday. So this kind of dates back quite a way, pretty much ever since Horizons actually came out. There's this thing where when you approach the dark side of a planet, landable planets, they all look very dark, quite black, but the closer you get to the surface, the more they light up. And this is to do with the ambient light levels, so the light that's reflecting back from the stars on that side of the galaxy, and it's more prominent if the galaxy core is on the same side as the dark planet as you. So basically the surface starts reflecting all this light, and It's something Frontier spoke about 2 years ago. Said they did want to fix eventually, so they finally got there. It shows how far ahead Frontier worked with some content. But dark side of planets are actually dark now, so I don't know. How do you guys feel about that?
I think it looks great. I have a question, though, specifically for those that don't know, and I think you kind of touched on this. Right now, the only way to really make the dark side of a planet or a dark area look dark is to turn shadows off, right? If you turn your shadows off, everything will go super dark, and I've always assumed it's because of the technical limitation of the engine that to have a shadow, you have to have some sort of light source, and therefore it's not totally dark. So do you know, Ant, do we know for sure, can you leave shadows on and you get them in normal places, but you do get full darkness now? Am I making a safe assumption with that?
Yeah, so basically they've rewritten the whole light engine, and the side effect of that is that dark sides of planets will now be dark just because of the way we're not getting the ambient light levels in the way we were. It was kind of... the way one of the art guys talked about it, he said they sort of fudged it to make it work in the way it used to work, because that was the only way they could get it work with the way lighting was previously designed, and it's something they didn't want to leave in that form.
Sure. Okay.
They needed to take time to get around to fixing, but because the dark side of planets are so dark, one of the things they've done is put the night vision in, which is accessible from within the ship. So you basically get the old green, phosphorus green overlay over the surface of the planets. Now I don't think they mentioned this on stream. This is available in ships, but it's not, at least when we saw it, it's not going to be available in SRVs.
Not available in SRVs?
As far as we know, it's not going to be available in SRVs. You know?
That's a little disappointing, but I do like the idea.
A little?
It may change, so don't quote me on that.
Yeah, no, we're not quoting you.
That's the way that is. But again, we got the headlights in the SRVs, haven't we? And they do shine quite a way ahead on that sort of scale.
That's, fair enough.
It was suggested
whereas when your ship, you can't. Your headlights just didn't give you the distance you needed.
Right.
Yeah, it was suggested that was why the SRV didn't have night vision, because of the way the lighting on the SRV worked in the new engine. You just didn't need it. Right.
I was. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was go right ahead. I was going to.
I was just saying I was collecting probe samples for Palin the other day in complete pitch black, and it was very scary. So I am hoping that the atmosphere is not too much affected by that, or it increases the atmosphere. But I would love to see night vision in the SRV as a second implementation.
Yeah. Personally, I'm with you. I like driving around in the dark just because it's creepy, right?
Oh yeah.
I don't want the bright lights on.
It was fun.
Yammix, what were you going to chime in with?
Oh boy. With the same topic or a new one?
Well, I mean, I guess we'll do this. If you guys raise your hands, if somebody's got something on this topic, Turjy and Deejey, why don't we finish this topic and we'll just kind of do it that way. That's cool.
So night vision. Yeah. Okay. It's okay. The look of it is a bit, well, yeah. It's more of a scanner type rather than a night vision, but okay. I mean, whatever allows us to fly with more precision without actually enabling the or rather changing the gamma setting, which, well, basically bleeds out the colors of the fucking image. And actually, recently, just like yesterday alone, I had to use gamma setting just to boost up the whole levels and so on and so forth, and then work a little bit in post to make the image at least not as horrible as it was, and it's just a pain to film in a dark side. Now the question is, with a super dark or darker, yeah, it might be even worse unless we get some sort of additional, more powerful light source, which, well, obviously we haven't heard anything about and we shouldn't expect. So filming-wise, it's gonna be annoying. Driving-wise, it might get also annoying because, you know, everything is more dark, and there are some planets, places, and so on and so forth that people tend to visit that are quite dark, and unfortunately might not be as good. So yeah, but no, we'll see. But as for the whole night vision idea, a neat feature, nice to have. That's about it.
Yeah, DJ, did you want to chime in on night vision? We want to move on from there.
So, I have one minor concern with night vision, which is it's very green. And I did bring this up on the day. My only worry is that for those of us that are colorblind, Elite isn't the friendliest game as far as colorblindness is considered.
But then
and I worry that night vision, because it is so green, is going to add to that. That's my only concern with it. Other than that, I think it's a great feature.
Do we have any idea if changing the HUD colors would change the night vision color?
That's the thing. I mean, it looks like it's generated with the same kind of thought behind it in terms of how it works as the orbit lines. You know, so it's
or as
on your HUD, on the actual glass of your...
Well, doesn't it also look like it would be the same engine when we scan like megaships and stuff? Meaning those change when we change our HUD colors.
The blue pulse.
No, it actually feels like the logic would say you've got something that generates planetary IDs and orbit lines, and it's probably the same thing. It's not a true night vision.
Reality.
Yeah, it's not
that's
true
exactly
night vision.
how they described it. It's augmented
But
reality.
I do have
the canopy.
I have one beef with it, just one. When it starts, it shouldn't sound like it does. It should sound like this. Because all night vision sounds like that. We know this. That's what night vision sounds like.
Have Microsoft got that sound copyrighted for the?
I never have any beef with the sound guys. So yeah, but this time, that's what
I agree. Actually, you're totally right, Turjy.
But Turjy, you know, that they showcased it looked like a scan, you know, a sonar, so it should have the sonar sound.
Yeah, we
not
could go ping. Ping only, Vasily. Yeah.
Right? Bing!
You know, I love that fucking movie. Okay, DJ, was there anything else you're going to add there? Or should we move on?
Just that I've seen a few people sort of saying that they're not sure about the colour of it and all of that, like the look of it and that sort of thing. Having like watched it in action, it looked good. It really did. You can pick out, even I, you know, even saying that I'm colourblind and everything, even I was able to pick out details on the ground and everything like that, and that's what it needs to be able to do. It for me, it very much was a utility function, and I think it's pretty neat. That just, yeah.
Yeah, I think the intent is cool. I would love to see the ability to change those colors or set options or toggles, but you know.
Oh, we all agree, yeah.
If they did that in a second pass, I would be, you know, fine with that.
DJ, quick question for you. Being colorblind, if you can you change? I mean, this is not a solution, I know, and I know the console guys are screwed with this. But changing HUD colors, is there a way? I mean, can you change to a HUD color scheme that fits your colorblindness?
I've never seen a HUD color scheme that works better than the base one, which is why I stick with the base one.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough.
That's why I stick with it. Most
black and white. How about black and white?
Most things are fine, but it's things like. A great example is it was only actually fairly recently, as in within the last 6 months, that I found out that friendly and allied people on the radar are different colours.
Interesting. Okay. Okay.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I just did not know.
Yeah. It's one of those things everyone just takes for granted. No one comments on it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But I get moaned at a lot for using an auto docker. I challenged, like, Malik did it once. He changed, he put on a filter on his computer so that he saw colours as I see them, and went into a high-tech dock, because I said, like, I can't see the docking slots, that's why I use an auto docker. And he went in, high-tech. And he was like, where are the docking slots then?
Exactly. Yeah, they'd be invisible for you. Yeah.
Yeah, they are.
This is continuing to be random.
The compass. Sorry to completely take us off track there. I apologise, but
related.
I asked it, and actually, my final question off the rails is: have you tried those chroma glasses, and those work for your type of?
So I haven't actually tried them because they are hideously expensive.
They are monstrously expensive, but they are good.
Yeah, I would love to try them at some point.
I love the videos you see of people just breaking down crying because they've never seen color before. Yeah. Anyway, now we're way off the rails. Forgive me, guys. Okay, so taking us back on track, why don't we go back to Ant? You want to talk about the lighting changes, Ant?
Yeah, no, just one very quick thing on the SRV lights without the potentially anyway without the night vision. It's something you can experience in the game right now, because if you go to some not the night vision obviously, but if you go to some of the darker regions of space, either you can do it in the bubble if you go to an area or a planet that's got the dark side facing away from the galactic core, or otherwise if you go out to like the Coalsack Nebula or maybe further out towards the edge of the galaxy and go to a dark side of the planet. Some of you have probably seen the dark side of the planets and driving around on the SRVs anyway. I mean, personally my point is I don't really find it to be too bad. As long as you put on forward beams, it's pretty decent. I mean, I kind of like driving around in the really dark areas and trying to find your way around.
Yeah, it's fun.
I don't know what you feel about that. I mean, I've been to some of the bases as well, some of the planetary bases. I think it kind of adds to the game. I don't know how much use a night vision would actually be down there, really.
It's super atmospheric, isn't it? It really is. It feels like it's one of the few moments Elite truly feels like you're in a movie or something like that. What it could be like, what it's like in VR, I can only imagine.
I mean, talk about feeling like you're there and desolate. And it's great. Yeah,
I get the feeling driving around the dark side of a planet in an SRV with the new lighting engine in VR is going to be a unique experience.
I mean, honestly, I just love driving around, period.
Well, I mean, VR tends to make everything just slightly lighter anyway.
Yes.
So if you drive around in the pitch black in VR, you can see a bit.
No, it's just like driving down the country lanes, isn't it? I don't know.
Yes, it is.
Oh God, no, the meme songs.
I really love that.
Turn your lights off, yeah.
Lights off as well, yeah. No, I love it. I think that's brilliant.
God,
Yeah,
so the memes.
I have to sometimes turn off my second monitor in order to see at night.
Oh, boy.
Ant, do you want to take us on to lighting changes?
DJ can talk a bit about that. Do you want to do that, DJ?
Oh yeah, go right ahead.
Okay, so yeah, well, with the lighting changes, it just improves the look of everything from what we saw. Everything just looks a bit crisper, a bit cleaner, a bit better.
I'd say shadows are... Oh,
the dark side of planets are the most notable thing, yeah. But everything did just look a bit cleaner, a bit nicer, and that's great. Lighting, it's interesting. If you look at games with good lighting engines, they tend to age better than games that don't. A good example is Star Trek Online. That game can still be quite pretty, despite the fact that it's, what, 8-9 years old? I mean, I know they've done some upgrades to their game engine, but it's still a 9-year-old game engine and a 9-year-old game. And it can look very pretty.
It does, it can look good.
Yeah, and the reason for that is because they damn well nailed their lighting engine. And it feels like Frontier have done something similar with the new lighting engine. That's why I brought that up. So, Yammy, do you want to talk about asteroid fields?
That's a sort of a segue. So first off, if you're talking about lighting and so on and so forth, any artist in the audience right now could easily tell you that basically shadows give depth to the image, and well, how you rather the way you sort of distinguish a good artist aside from an average one is by looking at how well they do shadows, and shadows tend to be quite the hardest thing to do, but of course we're not talking about art, we're talking about the game, which technically in my mind is an art, but well, that's a different topic. Now, the thing with the Elite is that the lighting in general in Elite is simplistic. To modern day standards, it's behind the times, unfortunately, even when it was brand new. Mostly it has to do either the way the engine works or a specific way they built it. It's hard to say exactly, but of course you can bring in some more, additions and so on and so forth, but it works. It definitely works. And as for games being better, or rather aging better if they have better lighting, I don't know about that, but I mean, sure, for some it definitely would. No, yeah, but that brings also the whole topic to the whole asteroid fields, that they did show the lighting and how it changes, and Okay, yeah, there are lights in the asteroid fields, but the lights that worked in asteroid fields already work just fine for me. You won't see such a rapid movement of light source anyways. So personally, for fast moving, shadows and so on and so forth, yeah, you need more precise things. But for something like asteroid fields, I don't really think at least they need to change.
Crepuscular rays.
Oh, yeah.
You need crepuscular rays pouring out behind the asteroid.
We need fucking RTX now, people. RTX.
Hell yeah, we do.
Now.
Hell yeah, we do. Bring on the RTX.
Right.
It's funny you say that, Yamix. Actually, one of my thoughts, one of the things I said about RTX is, in my opinion, if Elite doesn't support RTX in a year, it's a failure. And I'm more mean. Let me clarify. What I mean is, if RTX isn't so easy and so widespread that even a game like Elite gets it in a year, then I think RTX fails.
I was about to say that's a bit unfair on Frontier.
No, not Elite fails. No, the other way around. The other way around.
Yeah.
Handbag raising moment. Oh,
yeah.
Exactly.
No, but no, that's If it can't be made use of by Elite, then yes, it's a failure.
Exactly right. If it's not, I mean, because sorry, I'm not going to derail us with a RTX conversation. But that's all I'll throw in there.
That's my fault. That's my fault. So yeah.
No, that's okay. That's okay. Spatula, did you want to jump in something with lighting, or Yamix? I cut you off.
Yeah, go Spatulas. Go.
I just think it needs more chiaroscuro.
Well, you've got that with your headlights and your Dark Side of Planets. Come on, make your own. Make your own character.
I'm always going to think of Yamix's Bob Ross now.
I did. Aside from the lighting thing, which I don't care about, the one thing that I am presenting to us, first of all, was the first thing that they mentioned was, this is not the final thing, it's already changed. Then the question from my side was, why the fuck are you showing this to us then?
Hey, this is new, but it's not going to be this, it's going to be something else. So
yeah, it's like, why? Okay, whatever. They have their own reasons, but that's my main question. Why do you need to show that? Anyways, the problem I have is that the current ice rings, normal rings, what else, metal rings, whatever. All those asteroid fields in general are, well, they do have a little bit of fog, but it's in the distance. Now the fog will be all over the place, and for someone that enjoys a crisp, clean look of the picture when it comes down to filming, this is a horrible thing. Why do we need so much fucking fog? I don't know, but I guess somebody's in love with that.
Why do you think there's going to be fog everywhere? Sorry?
No, maybe there might actually be.
I didn't
hear them say that there's fog in some areas already. Yeah, I don't.
Yeah,
I certainly haven't heard them say that there's fog everywhere.
Yeah, if every ring looked like they showed, Yamix, I'm with you, but I certainly don't assume that's going to be the case.
No, of course. Even right now in Elite Dangerous, yeah, you got some more sparsely populated fields. Yeah, they will have less fog and so on and so forth, but that clearly was a presentation of a more denser field.
Yeah, but those exist already. There are fields that are like that already, where they're really foggy.
Not as much. Not as
much, but I still
more dense, but they exist. Yeah.
To me, it looks great. I'll admit.
Yeah. I certainly don't think that all fields, and I'm with you. I'll say what Deejey said there. If all fields look like that, and they're all really foggy now, no, the game has lost something. Yes. But if that was just a demonstration of, and I think personally it was because the foggy fields are the best place to show off the new lighting. I think that's why they did it. And if it is just that was what the foggy fields look like now, I'm cool with that. But if, as you say, if all of them look like that, no, that's far from ideal, right?
That's my opinion, voiced as a again, yeah, that's my concern as a videographer. I want a crisp, clean picture. I don't want random just shit all over my screen. And if I want to present something nice and what else, I want it to be least acceptable. That's the point. Right. Moving on.
Ant, you had some comments on lighting too?
Yeah, so a couple of comments on lighting there. One of the things you would have noticed probably last night, and it didn't come across that well on the stream, I think, because, weren't they streaming in 720p for some reason?
It looked like shit, whatever it was.
Yes,
it looked
They
awful.
looked as good as it could have done. But right before they
Bill couldn't figure out the settings.
That's why they took them to start.
They took a few breaks too.
Just before they started demonstrating the first part of the exploration, they were actually sitting right next door to a star, and you could see the quality of lighting was much better coming off of that star, and the way it hit the inside of the cockpit. I don't know if you guys noticed that, but it was clearly a lot better.
The only thing that I thought was really stupid during the lighting is when they put up that panel of 9 different screens that all looked like shit, and then the AV
the middle one was horrible.
It wasn't easy to see the difference in lighting on that.
And especially realizing or thinking about the fact that they were only at 720p. That was not the way to show that, because to me it was like, look, this is kind of an image with the brightness and contrast turned way too down, and now here's one with the brightness, contrast, and saturation turned way too high. Right? It was just like neither of these look very good. I mean, I actually do think it's going to look good.
In the video presentations we saw, it actually looked completely different. I mean, there's a couple of people in my chat pointing out it's just EDFX introduced into the game, but it's not really like that at all.
So apparently,
I think did someone said was it in your chat last night, DJ, or was it in Malik's? One of the developers was talking about lighting.
Yeah, that was in Malik's chat.
Yeah, and I think we're okay to talk about that, aren't we? Because obviously they were
that was spoken about in
that cat is out of the bag.
So the way they described it was we've seen it in in the chapter 4 trailer that they had. Was it last week?
Yeah.
Where you see the lightning.
Yeah.
And the way they described that was that new lighting system allows them to create these sort of clouds and nebulas where they cast shadows upon themselves. So there's lighting inside these nebulas, and the shadow sort of collapses in and reflects off the interior of the nebula. So like volumetric lighting, I guess.
Yeah. He said, also note, the shadows in the bottom third of the screen, that's the volume casting shadows through itself from light sources inside the volume. It's sweet stuff, technically. It's faster than the old ring fog in most cases as the base level when talking about the ring fog. The ultra settings are definitely not cheaper, but of course are optional. So that's answering worries about extra usage of CPU or GPU.
That'll be GPU time.
But basically it's not just contrast or gamma changes, which it does look like that on some of the images.
There will be changes to that too.
Yeah, well, there will, but on the images they showed, the ones at LaveCon, it looked like that was literally all they did. It looked like someone had taken a screenshot, gone into Photoshop and adjusted the gamma and the contrast, and then said, look at this new lighting.
Yeah.
It definitely looked like that.
It's a great way to say exactly what it looked like.
Yeah, it's not a case of that.
No. And also, just something that's come up in my chat for relevant information for what we're talking about. Apparently all of their non-event streams are 720-60. They do 60 frames per second, 720p.
Oh, come on. You can do 1080p 60 if you have even the cheapest Ryzen. I struggle to do 10 or something with double PC setup.
I don't know how YouTube settings work, so
very easy. 1080p.
No. Hang on. I don't know how YouTube settings work, but I do know that a lot of streamers on Twitch don't stream in 1080-60 because an awful lot of people can't watch 1080-60. Again, I don't know how that works with YouTube, so I'm not going to comment on that.
But YouTube, we can select.
Twitch side,
yeah, exactly.
That's not the case.
You can change it very easily. You can have Restream.io do all that.
I use my double PC setup, but whatever.
Yeah, there's lots of ways to do it. Let's see. Yamix, did you have? We were still talking about images. Were you going to chime?
Yeah.
You said.
So the whole 9-image screen that they showcased, the different lightings on different stars. Now, some of them looked really bad. Of course, it was very low resolution, but the middle one was of Sagittarius A, and I was just in shock to see the color bleed, the blue ugly color bleed into Sagittarius A. I don't know. Again, if that's just a shit version of that screenshot, or will they actually change the Sagittarius A in that way? Because the way it looked, it was not good. Absolutely not good. Now, that aside. Again, that's just one image, so you can't say much about it. Now, as for the lave, now the images in lave that they showcased, and yes, I did guess and guess myself that they might have just cranked up a little bit of gamma, a little bit of saturation, and just do a little bit of small trickery here and there with just a relatively simple post-process things. And as I talked with God damn it, I keep forgetting the guy's name, but he was the artist guy from the team in LaveCon, and I asked him whether or not they would be just turning up the gamma settings or color saturation and so on and so forth. And the answer came as a no. Apparently they are working in of course some of those settings as well as they are the basics, but they are working in additional ways of specifically selecting certain things within the engine as they render out the image and what else when it comes down to specific color changes, looks changes, and so on and so forth. So it might be a little bit deeper than just saying that you put it in the Photoshop, put in a couple of filters and you're done, which might be true, but as far as I got the information, it was a bit in depth. Though you still can perform that in Photoshop with a couple of filters. Anyways, carrying on.
Okay, why don't we move on to the next topic we've got on the list? And again, we're kind of going loosely in the order they went through in the stream if you guys watch it later.
Go for it.
Let's talk about, exploration, specifically the community discovery feature. DJ wants to take this, so I'm going to let him. And I've got some questions for you about it, DJ, but why don't you explain it to everybody first, and then we'll see what everybody thinks about it.
This is something that when they said about it, I had to ask them to clarify to make sure they were saying what they were saying, because I found it so very exciting. Community
Here's the word.
He said the word.
No, I don't give a shit. Yeah. Community discovery and exploration is
word bingo.
fucking awesome. Right, the fact that from now on, when you drop into a system, if someone else has discovered it and explored it, it will automatically, you'll see the system map, that there will be a noticeable difference to an unexplored system beyond just discovered by. Yeah, that's amazing. The fact that it actually feels like we are acting in a cumulative way to explore is
Okay.
And that's it. This system, it's my second favorite thing from everything that we were shown. It's me yesterday, and it's something for us. So you want to say something about this, XCG?
Questions, right?
Yeah.
So you say, and first of all, conceptually, I actually am 100% with you again. I think this sounds great. I think the idea of the collective work, it's great, right? I think this is awesome all the way around. My question is, and this actually potentially, now that I've thought about it, solves the question I had for later about issues. But so are you saying right now that let's just make up something simple? You go scan a system for the first time, you hawk it, you do the full thing and discover it. We'll not worry about planetary mapping in this question, but you've discovered the whole system. Then you go sell that data. That data becomes community knowledge. Do I just get it, or do I have to dock and do something active to get it? Do you know? Have they said?
So as far as we understand it, as far as it was explained, once someone hands in the data, that will be the case for everyone.
Yeah. Okay. So
great. And we can test this obviously in the beta to find
of course.
If I scan a system that is unexplored and go back and sell the data, as far as I understand it, I would imagine next tick. So the next day.
Sure.
Yeah. That's an imagine. I don't know.
It also could be that I have to actually land at a station to download the data in my computer.
No, because that's what we asked about. It's like 20 minutes. So there's a slight delay there.
Great. That then leads me to my next kind of question, which maybe this fixes a concern, because one of the concerns I've had with the new scanning methods of the Discovery Scanner, right, which I'm jumping ahead a little bit, but here's why, which is, now I'll I'll make a tutorial. I'll tell somebody to unlock X, Y, and Z. Go to this system, which they've probably never been before. Go to planet, B7A, right? Well, now from what you're saying, if I'm right, you go to the system for the first system, the whole system. You sell it. Now, when I go there, bam, the system map is already filled out. I don't have
blank. No, they're blank. They're blank. Once the bodies are there, you still get all the money for scanning them and everything.
Okay, hold on.
Hold on.
But when you say they're blank, I can still do what I do now, which is count out that this is planet 7, and select it and then fly to it. So one of the things I was worried about was that essentially now, if I at 3A, they're going to have to map the whole damn system to is. No. Okay, great. The best news I've heard in this whole thing. Because that was my course, it's already mapped, right? If fantastic. So now, thank you. Sorry for the little. My biggest concern. Turjy, I think, had his hand up next. Turjy, what do you have?
Yeah, well, I just want to say that I'm a huge fan of something like this is community feedback stuff for all the players, because this is exactly the kind of thing that the Pilots Federation is supposed to be for, you see. Like with Galnet. The irony in this situation is that Galnet doesn't actually do stellar cartography. They do trade and news data. So this should really be universal cartographics, and they're behaving more like the Pilots Federation than Galnet is, which I find ironic.
Universal cartographics.
No, they're not actually owned by.
Oh, I thought they were. I thought,
as far as I know,
Galnet, they were.
As far as I know, they're not actually owned by.
Should we see if we can get a definitive answer on that one?
It would be nice if we could. Yeah,
I'll do some poking and see if we can get an answer.
To me, I like it because it's what commanders should have access to. If you go out exploring stuff, then all the other commanders should have it as well, because that makes sense.
Yeah.
All the communication systems on the ships would talk to each other. That's how it should be. I love it.
Even the 20-minute update time, like even if it was 24 hours, that would still make sense, right? Because it has to take time to propagate. I don't mind that. That's fine. But as you say, and seriously, this really was the thing. Out of all of the exploration stuff, it's all great. I really like it personally. But out of all of the exploration stuff, this was the bit that I was genuinely. I had to ask them to clarify just to be sure. It was like, I don't want to start bouncing about this until we're certain. No, we're certain. I'm bouncing now.
Spatula, did you have something to add? And Turjy, were you?
No, that's all I was going to say.
Okay, great.
Well, I was just going to mention, do you guys remember when they had that beta where all the planets were black, and then very quickly they reversed that?
Yes.
And so I'm still kind of tentative about that system. I do really like some of the exploration changes with the scanner and all that, but I wouldn't be surprised if there's some people out there that don't share enthusiasm, and who knows? They have reversed it in the past, or at least they have.
We're not making all the people happy all the time.
Well, you can't do that. You can't do that. You can only please me.
Okay. DJ, was there anything else about the community stuff that we wanted to cover, or should we move on? I'm going to definitely let Ant take the next one with system map and Ori map stuff, because I know that how long he's wanted that. I remember you've done a couple videos on that, haven't you, Ant?
I want to claim credit for the first spot on that, though. The screenshot that I put out of that, like 10 seconds later, made a lot of eyebrows raise. When they opened up the system map early in the stream, I managed to. And
they showed, Ori up at the top. Yeah.
I managed to snap.
We were talking about it. Yeah, we started. Each other's like, oh, there it is. It's coming. So, Ant, why don't you tell the folks what an Ori map is, why it's great, what you think about it?
Ori.
Yeah, so currently we've got the 2D system map. That's the map that's always been in Elite Dangerous right from the start, but it's not always the only map that's been available in the Elite Dangerous series, or the Elite series rather. Elite 2 and Ori map, which is a 3D representation of the star system, and usually those are interactive. I think they were weren't they?
They were.
Yeah. So basically, you could zoom in on the bodies, the stars, and
you could run time
rotate around
forwards as well.
Basically, you could get an exact overview or scale overview of what these systems like, which is something you can't do with the current 2D one because it's not to scale. The distances aren't to scale, and the planet sizes aren't to scale. So the OOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOO back before Elite was originally introduced, and people have been asking for it ever since then, basically. But Frontier, for one reason or another, have just not put it into the game. But
so, can I just butt in for a moment there? I do remember a very long while back, Dale being asked about this when he was at FDev, and he said at the time that they were working on it, but it was going to take a long time. And that was a long, long while back. So I think that this is something they've been working on for a long while. I get the feeling. For whatever reason, though, it's just taken this long for them to get it right.
Yeah, see it, and it was one of the things we didn't get to see.
Which was weird,
during the visit. Yeah, they didn't show us this. So I didn't even notice any of the little...
it wasn't there. No, that wasn't there.
Some surprises for you.
Yeah. When they went into the system map, it wasn't there.
A few surprises back. So
yeah,
but pretty nice. This is now one thing I didn't quite catch on stream. I wanted to ask you guys about this, see if you caught it, was how the ORE map populates. Does it populate in the same way that the system map populates? So that you've basically got to zero in onto a scan on the planet before it shows up? Is that correct, or do you have to do a full surface map before it shows up on the ORE map?
It shows up as just as a typical discovery from the discovery scanner. I think it was the detailed one. Of course, comes once you press the detailed surface button thing.
Yeah.
So it shows up as a signature once you find it in that new system.
Yeah, I get the feeling you would have to, like, you'll be building that map out as you scan the system. Yeah.
Now that's one of the things I've really wanted from the game, and an ORE map that you can build up, just because it's going to be great that when you're not in a system any longer, you can revisit it. Basically, you can get an idea of how the bodies were positioned in that planet, all the orbits, and basically everything else, without actually having to travel there, because that's basically information we don't have at the moment. The system map doesn't really do a good enough job for that.
Yeah.
I also imagine it's something that Frontier will add more to over time, just as they did with the original system map.
Yeah, the only thing that I had that, I'll chime in real quick, is, looking at it, I love it, first of all, right? I mean, again, I'm with you guys. I think it looks great. It's much needed. The one complaint I had from looking at it is I think the scale is goofy. Maybe it'll change and stuff, or maybe they'll give us a way to adjust the scale logarithmically instead.
We could use a compact and realistic mode.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right. Exactly. Because it's so realistic, which is great on the one hand, that I fear it's going to take forever to zoom out, move over here, and then zoom in and zoom. Right. If there's some way to just and make navigation in it quicker. It seems
crazy.
clumsy.
Big binary is something like 500,000 light seconds away. Yeah, that's.
Oh God! Imagine what Hutton is going to look like with that system.
Yeah, exactly.
It
can't be one-to-one type. It's not going to.
Right.
You've got to fiddle with it.
Yeah, Yammy's pointed out, there's for those that know Mark Rober's channel, he does science kind of stuff. He did a 2-scale representation of the solar system, like on a football field, and it was just, it's nuts, insane how far apart things really are. And again, ORE map, awesome. To me, what's awesome about it is showing you the placement of where everything is. So if I'm headed to Jupiter and Saturn happens to be right next to it, maybe that's great. If it's on the other side of the system, maybe not. Or, it's just neat to know that. So to me, it was a shame that the scale was so porked. And I just wondered if it was only me that noticed that.
It looked all right to me, really. Obviously, you can zoom right out. I don't know how far you'd be able to zoom out. I would have thought you'd be able to zoom right out so you can see the entire breadth of the star system. It'd be a bit strange if you can't. Otherwise, there's going to be a lot of clicking and dragging going on, isn't there?
Exactly. That's what worried me. And Yamix, what were you going to jump in with the new system map?
Right. So, well, it's all nice and dandy with the whole new system map, but yeah, as I said, we just simply need a faster way to do things. You know, it's like as if there would be a really good reason to design a good UI, or there would be a reason to make these things, or in general speaking, you know, there should be a good design, tenets, rules, or at least guidelines, and the whole system thing. I see myself using it from time to time if I need to do multiple missions to multiple places in one system. But that aside, I much rather have, you know, even some sort of shortcut, right? Some sort of shortcut in the bottom, just like in the concept pictures, where you just click on specific object, just like with the current system map, and you're just brought to that in the current ORI map or what.
Do you not think, because there's a button, you can set a button to the system map, so do you not think that they'll do that with the ORI as well?
I worry that it would be like the Galaxy map, where you have to go to that tab and change between realistic system and power play. I would hope there's a...
So, yeah. I mean, realistic is all nice, but we really need a compact mode. So, I mean, realistically speaking, it's not that hard to make.
Well, I want
it is, but already
shows me where things are. Yeah, where things are laid out, right? I mean, otherwise, when are we really going to use the ORI map? If it's that big, I don't see me using it except on rare occasions, and I sure would love to use it instead of. I mean, look, you look at the screenshot ORI maps they showed a long time ago, and the whole system was condensed so it would fit on one screen. That's
concept.
Exactly. That's what I want, right? I want to be able to see the whole system in one screen.
Yeah,
with so I know the orientation of things.
As such, it's easy to scale.
I mean, fair enough, right? That's why.
And
I'd also make the argument that it's a video game, and I want certain things better for game mechanics, right?
Well,
I mean, we got to see how it works, right?
No, I understand where you're coming from. That's one of the arguments people always used to put forward for a reason to not have an ORI map.
Yeah, I mean,
massive scales of the star systems. A lot of people are saying, "What's the point? What purpose will it serve?"
Sure.
So there's also the fact that we could use
of everything. Right.
Yeah, we could use a little bit more color there too. Just saying.
It was a little black and white bland, wasn't it?
My only complaint about it was the fact that it's wireframe when you zoom in. That was literally my only complaint. That's
But was that because you hadn't mapped any?
I think that was because you hadn't mapped anything. That's what I thought.
Possibly.
Yeah, that's what. From looking at it, that's exactly what I assumed. Yeah, was that it was just because he hadn't actually mapped anything.
I'd like it if that's the case, but...
You're right, DJ, if that's not the case, I'm with you that that's a mistake, right?
It's just a bit disappointing.
Yeah.
It's you know, neither here nor there at the end of the day.
Sure.
Like,
I mean, the other interesting thing about it...
Oh, go, sorry.
No, sorry, I interrupted you. Carry on.
I was just saying, I only see the ORI, for me, really as a neat aesthetic thing. I'm not going to use it particularly other than, oh neat, so that's how this solar system works. Yeah, that's the main thing that it's going to be for me. Just like, oh, so that's orbiting that and that's orbiting that. Cool, right, and I can visualize it far easier than I can at the moment.
Yeah, and for me,
that, I'm not really going to use it. So if it's wireframe or they're filled in, at the end of the day, it makes fairly little difference to me.
Yeah,
but that's to me.
I'm kind of with you, and I think the same is, I think if it was scaled so we could see the whole system in one screen, I don't know why I would use it. I don't know why I would use the other system map. I guess maybe if you needed to count out, like you need to figure out where 3A is, that's obviously the easiest way to do it is on the current system map, right? But if it's all on one screen, I see me using it a lot. If it's not, I see me not, right? And so, okay, so moving on, now I'm confused if Ant's going to talk about honking changes first, and then Turjy's going to kind of rebut that. Do you want to do it that way, Turj?
Something like that.
I can talk about that,
yeah, okay.
Go on.
Just very quickly before we move on away from the ORI map, another thought on that is, we didn't see it, but just maybe we would be able to see the positioning on locations of mega ships and generation ships and everything like that.
Ah, interesting.
Yeah. See on the
those show up on the ORI.
Other anomalies coming.
Yeah, I mean, they did in
maybe all these things
front.
we'll be able to see.
Yeah, in Frontier Elite 2 in the Ori it had there, whenever you dropped into a system and you could see the pirates because they were color coded, you know, so you knew if you saw a little green one it would be an osprey, and a little red one it would be like a viper or something. Yeah, you could see them because they were color coded by mass. And there were a load of dots further into the system, and you knew they were all pirates, and you could run the clock forward on that Ori, and you could see them sort of coalescing on where you would be, where they estimated you would be if you went in a straight line. So you could where they would intercept you and sort of adjust your speed if you wanted to avoid them or whatever. So that was fun, but I don't think we'll be seeing like ships of that tiny ships on an orrery map somehow, but we could see the mega ships with any luck.
Yeah. All right, Ant, do you want to take us on to the honking changes, or does anybody else have anything else to add here?
Yeah. Who was that?
That was a honk. Sorry.
So, hold on, Spatula. I think somebody just got sick. Right.
I've got
that sounded like somebody was just taking a
Nice.
I've got
Stargard honk
on me, so there you go.
Nice.
I got Stargard honk. That's what they're doing now. We know it's a discovery blast, isn't it?
Yeah. So okay,
so it's probably one of the most controversial changes so far with Chapter 4, isn't it? I think a lot of people are really happy with the exploration changes, but looking around the forums and to an extent on Reddit, it's one of the criticisms that's come up is the losing the insta-scan map. So basically what happens now, if you've got an advanced discovery scanner, you jump into the star system and you do a discovery honk, and it reveals everything within the system, so people can then decide whether they want to stay in that system or move on. And there's a variety of reasons people may want to stay in the system. They may be the type of player that just wants to scan Earth likes, so they can go over and, regardless of whether it's close by or far away, they might want to fly over and do a detailed scan on that Earth like to get some credits. Or they may be the type of player that particularly decent landscape down on the surface of the planets, and you can get a bit of an idea on that from the surface map, because it gives you an idea of the size of the craters and the canyons down there. But basically there's all different types of explorers, isn't there? So some of them are reliant more on the system map and others not so much, but that's basically going away. Advanced discovery scan, you'll now get a spectral image, and you'll switch over into a new analysis mode, and you're getting over on the camera. And I did record some footage of viewers here on that, and I captured it from the live stream last night, but my OBS is messing around, so I can't play it back now, unfortunately. but basically you won't get a system map now. You're going to have to build that up by zooming in onto the various planets and using the spectral analysis at the bottom of the screen to try and determine what's there. But the advantage of this is that it's going to save all the travel times to the various planets.
Awesome.
So basically you can look at the spectral analysis and you'll be able to figure out if it's a gas giant or if it's a moon or if it's an Earth-like, and then you can adjust the various bits and pieces and zoom in on that, and you can do all that without moving. And the closer you zoom in, eventually you get all the details on that particular planet, and that includes everything you'll get now from doing a detailed surface scan. So it's basically a complete overhaul of how the system is right now. And as far as I can see, it's a good overhaul. I don't know, you're obviously, all you guys have got different opinions on it.
Lots of opinions. Turjy, why don't you kind of give us the first rebuttal here?
I've got an opinion. I'm speaking obviously as a fringe minority group here, as a sort of a video maker and someone that explores basically to use the galaxy as a big film set. Whenever I go out exploring, I have a destination in mind, and I'm aiming at that one, but I go into a system, line up with the target, with the next system, do the fuel scooping. I've already hit the discovery scan at the moment I drop into the system. And then on the way out of the system, I look at the system map to see if there's anything to stop for it. I'm not talking here about Earth-like worlds and ammonia worlds and things like that, because, everybody will stop for those fine. What I'm looking for is if a gas giant is a weird color, or if there's a little potato. Frequently, if you find a system that's been tagged by me, all you'll find in it that's been tagged, not the star, one potato world, because I've dropped into that system and gone to the potato world and filmed some stuff there and filmed the world and then, you know, gone out again. That sometimes, very often, be the only thing that I've tagged. And if you're looking at the system map, just in the couple of seconds it takes the FSD to spool up on the way out of a system, you can see on that system map whether there's something that's worth stopping for from a filmmaking perspective. Like Ant says, you know, sometimes if you're good enough at it, if you're used to it, you have to have the colors or the craters just from a glance, a momentary glance at the system map. Now, this new spectrography, spiky bar graph thing, no, for me, that is a complete disaster. It's a ruination of the way that I go looking for film locations. That it is the exact opposite of what I likened it basically to. They've taken away a camera and given me a metal detector, and what I'm looking for isn't made out of metal. You know, so that's the thing, because it'll show one world that's a completely different color. It'll be the same spike on that graph as another world of the same type, because the stellar force throws these weird little aberrations out, and it's the aberrations we're looking for. And you're not going to see it from spikes on a graph. You want to see the worlds. And the other thing is, as I say, I think it's actually spiting the stellar forge itself, because a lot of times you go into a system and it's not really a very interesting system, and that's what makes you decide to jump out. You know, M-class star, handful of snowballs, we've all seen it, and so you jump straight out again. But at least you've seen it on the system map. No one might ever see that one ever again. The Stellar Forge has made this system, and the only chance you get, you see it as a glimpse on that system map. Now you're not even going to see that, because you're going to look at the spectrum bar graph thing and see some spikes and then jump out. That's the only. The Stellar Forge will say, well, I feel a bit jibbed now, because all you've seen is some spikes on a graph. You haven't even seen that it's got the actual planets there. So to me, it makes no sense. I understand why they've done it, because it's the same as the wave scanner in an SRV. I understand that they're in love with it and they're going to do this. Nothing I say is going to change that. You know, I understand that. I understand that. But for me personally, as a filming person, it's a disaster, and I'm never going to get used to it, and I'm never going to like it. Everything else in this update with exploration, I love. All the extra fiddly bits, the probey bits, all the scanny bits, the community stuff. I just love all that stuff. But this one feature for me is a disaster, personally. I've talked to a few explorers, and they're kind of on the same page as me. Some of them like the visual thing. Some of them say, well, they can adapt. But from a filming perspective, for me going out there and looking for filming locations, it's a disaster.
Sure.
You know, and that's about it. But as I say, they're not going to change it. I know they're not going to change it, because they're just not going to change it. They're too in love with it. That's, you know.
Need more hydras?
Spatula. Is your take similar? What's your thoughts?
First, I'll just say this edition of Turjy's Troubles was brought to you by Witch Hall Beef. If you've got a beef with something, make it a Witch Hall. So I tend to agree with Turjy in the sense that I do the same thing. Even as I've been streaming here, I pop into a system, I hit the N key, and take a look at, is there anything interesting and shiny to take a look at? And this puts a little more work into it. Do I think it's the right direction? Yeah. I mean, I think they got to make a game for gameplay and not for us content creators. We were having a chat last night, and actually Hunter 241 had a great idea of a compromise where maybe you could still have that system map, but what you get is a much more pixelated, almost 8-bit version of the planet. So you could still maybe have a checkout and see if there's a green gas giant, or if it's a blue gas giant, or, you know, a large body that's blue or green, or maybe it has an interesting crater that you can just see in a blur. So I would love the idea of a compromise, and I'd love to hear what you guys think about that idea of a compromise. But I'm comfortable with the direction they're going with. I think it looks really satisfying. I like the zooming in on planets and getting that satisfying, like, whoosh, you know, so I'm okay with it, but, you know, we'll see how it works when playing. I think there will be some detriments or some slowdowns that might be frustrating over time.
Yeah, and, you know... No, please, go ahead,
Well, the follow-up of scanning the things is a hell of a lot quicker than flying out to the damn things.
Yes,
that's much more efficient.
Definitely.
And that's a great thing. Let's say, if you had if I had a compromise, I would keep the old system alongside this one and let people use which one they like best. But they're not going to do that.
Yeah, no. I mean, I agree with what Spatula's saying. I mean, for the most part, like, I don't have the constraint that you guys have, right? So, you know, like, in my sense,
I'm a fringe case.
Yeah, so and that's fair, right? There's always going to be, you know, I made the joke earlier, you're not going to make everybody happy all the time. Of course you're not, right? My biggest concern all the way around with this part of exploration, and we kind of touched on it beginning, one of my others that we seemingly solved, you know, having something already know where it is so you can just quickly get to it when you're doing a grind type task, right? But my biggest question or concern is going to be, what does this mean to the road to riches? And if I'm specific about what I mean there, obviously the way we do road to riches changes. Got no problem with that, right? But to me, I'll go so far as to say, if with this change, we lose. Okay, so let me say it a different way. If we now make less per hour doing exploration, I think the new system is a failure. I think new gameplay is great, but if all of a sudden the new system is this and it takes, you know, X amount of time to get all the planets, because now you go to a system and you've got to scan X number of planet or whatever. If you're now making 8 million an hour, 5 million, I'm going to go on the low side, 10 million an hour we can make now. That's my single biggest concern with exploration, right? There still needs to be that way for people to use it for quick cash is maybe too strong of a term there, right? But that's where I will call it a, you know, eventually I'll have a beef with it. I don't think any of us can answer that yet because we don't know what the payouts are going to be and all that kind of stuff, right? Conceivably, the payouts stay the same. But actually, you know what? Let me ask a question that maybe everybody knows, maybe Ant knows. You can still earn money from scanning a system, right? So if I jump into a system and it's already laid out for me because somebody scanned it, I can still use a detailed surface scanner, go through this process and make credits, right? I mean...
Yeah, you can still earn credits if it's already been discovered by someone else.
Yeah, okay, so that doesn't get affected, right?
I've done a clarification on that today. I haven't seen the response. There's something I asked them about.
Yeah, so again, that's just my biggest concern. Making at minimum 10 million credits an hour doing exploration, then to me everything else is absolutely fucking great, right? Icing on the cake, add new stuff, right? As long as we still get that. Yamix, what's your take on it?
The honking thing.
Well, yeah, specifically on the honk. I mean, you know, like this general topic, right?
All right, so the honking thing, right? So the difference that will come in, of course, as Turjy did say, that basically you won't be able to easily just honk and magically reveal everything. That way, you won't be able to quickly determine whether or not a body is worth going to and taking a look at, scanning that is, and even exploring. Now you basically sort of guess which body is which, whether or not you manage to get the one that you want, even if you know that system has a specific thing. So realistically speaking, you're gonna spend, regardless, longer time finding the thing that even has been found before. If you're trying to find something unique, well, then you're gonna have to spend way more time doing that, because, well, now you need to just go and scan the thing and even then probe the thing. So that's the issue. So if you want to find something unique that hasn't ever been found before, and clickety-clack, spatula, thank you. So there's that. You know, that's going to be a big downside of the new system. Yeah, you won't be able to quickly go in and determine whether or not it's worth taking a look, taking a deeper look. You're going to have to pretty much go for the deeper look immediately, or just move on. So there's that. The bright side of this thing is that you will be able to just go in and map a planet. Now, the whole scanning thing is downgraded. That's the bottom line. The scanning, the whole system scanning is a downgrade. speed time wise, or the stuff that way. But when it comes down to actually unveiling some sites, it's a huge upgrade. So basically, the advanced scanner is downgraded. Detailed surface scanner is upgraded. The problem is that entry level, lesser sort of, essentially less. I'd say.
Sorry, seriously, how? I don't understand, because that's not the case at all.
Deejey, right now, you jump into a system, you honk, you get the whole system, you get the relative image of the planet, not necessarily good image of it, but you at least can determine whether or not it would be something interesting that you would like to go and check out. Doesn't matter what type of planet it is, essentially something like that. Are you
saying that you can tell the difference between the planet?
Oh, for the fuck's sakes, Deejey, what I'm talking about is this.
Are you saying?
Yes, I'm trying to answer it right now. Please, Deejey, okay? The thing is, the way I do right now, and I presume Turjy does that as well. He jumps into a system, does the honk, he sees a certain different bodies. For example, I myself look at different bodies. I see, oh, this planet from at least a very small image that is on my screen has potential to be full of craters. Okay, I'm gonna go take a look at it. Now, if you want to do the same fucking thing in the new system, you're gonna have to honk the thing, hope that you find the correct body if there are multiple of those types. Then, if you find it correctly, then you go and investigate it, because again, the image is, well, of course the image is given to you, yeah, sure, but wait, hold on. Did they show the system map immediately revealing the body looks, or did they not?
It didn't.
No, you have to resolve them by looking at them.
Oh, okay. So yeah, essentially, yeah, you jump in, you want to see a specific body, then in that case, it is a problem. Yeah, it's gonna take you way more time to determine whether or not it's even worth taking a look at. Now you just got to commit to looking at it.
But in terms of making money, yeah, it'll be a lot faster because the DSS equivalent,
money is,
Yeah. But I mean, really, this is the other thing. This is I paid the iron price for my elite ranking exploration. Back when things were
here we go.
Nothing. The point was, we as explorers back in the early days when the game first launched, we didn't give a stuff about the money. That's not why we went out there. We went out there to look at stuff. So for people to assume it's all about the money as exploration, what about the money? It's not what the explorer people do,
So you're totally right, Turjy.
It's not all explorers. There are some explorers that do both. Remember,
some do. Well, yeah,
there are subsets.
We'll always stop for an Earth-like ammonia world. Everyone will. That's true. And you go, yeah, I want to get first discovery tag on that because it's worth more money. But it's not. That's not the motivating force. That's not why you've got out there in the first place. So I can appreciate that, and this is going to earn people more money per hour than the old system. If you stop and scan an entire system, it'll take you. It's a big system. If it's got a star in it and nothing else, it won't be any different. But if it's one with 50 or 60 bodies in it, you'll be able to do it a lot quicker than I think. I don't know. I mean, in terms of scanning every single moon on a gas giant. Don't know how that goes. We'll have to wait and see with that one. But my suspicion is you'll get money quicker doing detailed surface scans in the new system than you will with the old, because it just eliminates the flying time, and that is the big bugbear with the old system.
And what do you have to contribute to this?
Yeah, right. So as the guys are just touching on, I think Yammy's kind of touched on it. There's a lot of different type of explorers out there, people who explore for totally different reasons and totally different ways, and being content creators and us going out and making footage, often trying to find a specific sort of site, to find a specific type of planet or a specific type of formation, and that can be quite challenging. It can be very difficult to find those sort of things. Maybe you want a bunch of moons orbiting in a specific way around the gas giant, and with the current system maps, you jump in and do a quick scan, and you can instantly get an idea of whether that's present or not in a system. And I think that's the sort of thing Turjy is talking about, along with the idea of getting an idea of what colours the gas giant may be, and whether there's specific craters on a moon, you know, or whatever. But you know, that's my style of exploration. It seems to be Turjy's style of exploration. It is a few people's style of exploration, but it is only one subset of exploration. And Frontier actually put a post out today talking about this. I think they actually, after they did the reveal on the forum feedback, and they got a bunch of people giving them different sorts of answers. One of the things they come up was exactly what we're talking about now. Frontier went away and listed all the different types of explorers they could come up with, and I think they come up with close to a dozen different types of explorers. So those who are jumping into a system, those who are mapping all the planets, those who just want Earth likes, those who are doing what Turjy and myself do, and so on. And so they tried to come up with a system.
They didn't actually list us in that. That's the one thing that they didn't have in there.
No, they did.
Filming locations.
They did. Yeah. That's one of the things they did come up with. Not necessarily specific for filming, but for people who are sightseeing, looking for interesting locations.
Sure.
And basically they wanted a new system that would appeal to everyone, that everyone could use. But they couldn't come up with a system that would work for the sort of exploration that we're doing, as well as the sort of exploration everyone else does. But basically, what we need is a system map, and anything.
Well, yeah. What we need is something visual, and they've settled on this scanner.
Yeah.
And the moment they committed to that scanner, the visual thing was a goner. It's as simple as that.
But this is a decision, from what I understand, and reading Frontier's post today, it's not a decision that they made without thought. They've actually considered it. Every time they've tried to make or come up with a design for a system that would work for all types of explorers, basically you're taken away from one and given to the other.
Yeah, but I still think that's a cop-out, because as far as I can see, they wanted the wave scanner, they got the wave scanner, that was the end of the thought process. I'm a bit bitter. I'm a bit salty. But that's
join the club.
Like, that's how it looks like to me. They wanted to put a wave scanner in, so if that meant getting rid of a visual thing, then they weren't going to look too hard to incorporate it. That's just how I feel. You know, I may be wrong, but that's you know, the feeling that I get from it. They'll have looked, but they won't have looked as hard as I would. Basically,
well, you've probably been determined to get it in there, but you know, I still think, as other people have mentioned, the spectral analysis is going to give you a very quick overview of what's in that system, and Yammy was kind of mentioning it in the system. From what I'm seeing, and I think you're still going to be able to get an overview like you can now, excluding the fact that you may want to look for gas giants of a particular colour, or the sites that we were talking about earlier. If you take that out of the equation, for all other types of explorer, they're basically going to get the same amount of information that they do now from that spectral analysis. It's just going to be like the SRV wave scanner. You're going to need to be able to interpret it correctly.
The information's the same, but
it's going to be there, yeah. So you're basically going to be able to jump in, and I mean, they demonstrated it. You'll be able to see that squiggly line is a gas giant with 3 moons around it, or a number of moons around it.
But as a visual person, for me, that just sucks.
I totally relate to that, because obviously it's going to be a problem for me as well as a video creator. But you know,
Deejey wanted to say something.
I'm going to say Deejey's probably shaking. He wants to say something. So what you got, Deejey?
Okay, so first of all, you're going to be able to tell what color a gas giant is when you learn to read the waveform scanner properly, because the color of a gas giant is dictated by its chemical makeup, which you will be able to tell from the waveform scanner. Just to point that out, yeah? Not
science?
Yeah.
Spatula, are you going to mention boobs?
So
I'll get there after Deejey.
I will point out that you will be able to tell the color of that. That's how the system works, right? It works on the makeup of the planet. You'll be able to tell when you learn to read that properly. I'll put money on it. You'll be able to tell what fucking color a gas giant is. Yeah, because you'll be able to tell. Like the other night, when Adam was doing it, he knew it was a class 1 gas giant. Yeah.
The freaky coloured ones are the same as other classes, and they're aberrant.
Yeah, but
I might take that.
You're not gonna see makeup of the planet.
Yeah, but
a class
one that's one color and a class one that's another color. They're both.
Hey, I'll call that bet.
It's just going to show you is that it's a class one.
Yeah, are we calling that bet?
It's not going to show you that one's a weird color.
Exactly. I'll take that.
Okay, cool.
$10? Yeah, you know what? I'll make. Here's the bet, DJ.
No, okay,
we buy
$10 to charity.
We buy. I was going to say we buy a skin for one of our. Okay, that's fine too.
$10 to charity.
Yeah. That works with me.
I'm not betting money with you, but
no, that's right. Yeah.
One of us has to put money to charity. And
totally great.
I will take that bet.
All right, great. $10 bet says that, and I'm with Turjy that we won't be able to tell the color. Okay. Class, sure.
That was just the first thing that I wanted to say.
No, please go. Yeah. We didn't mean to derail you. Keep going.
Right. So, second of all, a comment that Prime9 said, an exact quote. Point of comparison: Soul is 40-something bodies. Took him 7 to 8 minutes to do an entire scan of. Yeah.
Well, the new system will be quicker. Yes, for a detailed surface
really
scan.
Seems to be I believe that was including mapping. Right. So the new system,
including mapping the surface of everything.
Yeah, it can be. It's not. You
couldn't fly to everybody in 8 minutes.
Yeah, you couldn't. Literally.
Oh no, that's true because you do have to fly to things to probe.
Yeah.
Don't you? Yeah. No, you're right. It must have just been for the initial scan. Obviously, that pays out as it does. The mapping then pays out extra. That is fine by me. I've got no issue with that. I do understand, I have to say, what Turjy and Ant and Yammy are saying. For those that are looking for, as you say, I think you put it perfectly, Turjy, with the word aberrant. Yeah?
Those fringe
things
cases in the Stellar Forge that we go looking for to film.
Those, yes, undeniably, they're gonna be more difficult to find. But on the other side of that, because it's going to be relatively quickly to get an overall look at the system, like if that's 7 to 8 minutes with somebody who's just trying it out, how long is it going to take when you really get used to that system? If you can start to scan, like realistically, let's say you can clear 2 minutes off that by getting properly proficient at it and used to it. Yeah? If you can scan a 40-body system in 5 minutes, I'm okay with this. You know? Like, it's an acceptable balance for me. If it takes me 20 minutes to scan every single system, then no. It would, like, 20 minutes for a 120 body system, fine, which is the sort of figure that I've heard for that length of time, yeah? But I do think that it's important to have a balance. And yeah, I do get what you guys are saying. However, for the vast majority of people, for the vast majority of explorers, for the vast majority of players of this game, this is nothing but a good thing. And Yammy said something that I think encapsulates this perfect. He said it a little while back when we were talking about this. He said if we had the system that they're now bringing in, and they changed to the old system, would anyone be happy? And no, we wouldn't be.
No one would.
No.
I mean, the current system is piece of shit.
Yeah, right.
Dude.
I'd still be happy with it.
Yeah, you get
I'd
you
be
are
in a
maybe
group of about 10 people.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. There'd be a very small number of people that would be like that, but the vast majority of players, if taken from the new system to the old, would be complaining that so much had been taken away, that so much had been removed from the game, and that's talking about the probes, which is what Yammy wants to talk about. Oh no, sorry.
Well, Spatula. Yeah, Spatula.
I apologize.
I'll lead in the new
professional.
No,
I'll lead in the next topic.
Oh, no worries.
So Spatula has actually got something to say. I'm sorry.
Well, no, I just kind of good wrap up anyway for this topic is just kind of, I think in Obsidian Ant and Turjy kind of touched on it before, but there are different styles for exploration, and the metaphor that I came up with last night was, you know, instead of seeing a pair of titties, they're letting you hear the sound of them. But some people like the sight of titties, if you know what I mean. I think that the more appropriate analogy might be, you know, they've gone from the glossy Playboy magazine to, you know, a Playboy magazine made out of Braille. until you know, get the picture in your head and do a little bit of work into it. But again, I'm kind of fine with that because I think at the end of the day, what we're getting is more gameplay. And while it may be harder to, say, find a green gas giant, or hey, maybe you can tell by the way it sounds. If it sounds like green, fair enough, right? but I think ultimately that'll be countered by the fact that we'll be able to discover more brain trees and volcanic geysers and you know, weird, interesting things that show up on our radar.
Yeah. One can only hope.
So, you know, as a content creator, you know, rather than looking for the green gas giants, I mean, look, I can still look those up. They're all cataloged online if I really need to find something specific. Exactly. Just look on the Canon website, right? But now at least I'll be able to go and find weird, interesting things myself that no one's discovered and are a little bit more interesting than maybe just a weird crater formation. And then when I do find those weird craters, they'll be all the more special. So it could work out, and I think it's just a case where we kind of have to play it ourselves and see if it works with our style. If it doesn't, be loud about it. And like I was mentioning before, they put something out there where they blacked out the planets until you actually scan them, and quickly reversed it when an outcry was had. So if there is an outcry, maybe they'll be open to changing it, but let's see how it goes. And with that, let's, I guess, move on to the next topic. Who's that, Ant?
Well, Ant wanted to chime in on this before we moved on.
Very well.
Yeah. Just, I mean, pretty much Spatula and Deejey have covered it. Despite the fact of losing that visual element from the discovery scan, I think the new system is going to be far, far superior. And personally, despite the fact I use that system scan in the way we were discussing, or that system map in the way we were discussing, I'm more than happy to actually give it up to get a lot better gameplay overall. I think it's gonna basically be more interactive, more fun, more engaging. I don't really see many downsides to it. I think it's going to be just as quick for pretty much every playstyle once we all get used to it and learn to read the wave scanner. And we've got to remember that there's also going to be more things to find. We're going to be able to use that same system to discover unidentified signal sources. We're going to be able to use that same system to discover conflict zones, as well as all the other phenomena that are in space. And I think it's also worth remembering that as we build up as we get a picture of all the bodies that are within a system, that will build up the system map, so we'll still have that system map. It's not a case of it's going away. And on top of that, we'll also get a detailed orrery map. So, you know, it kind of goes back to that point I was mentioning early on, that you'll be able to use that orrery map to get a very good overview of how planets are orbiting and their position in relation to each other. And I think that's quite important. That gives us a big step up over where we are now. So yeah, whilst we're losing one thing, I think we're gaining a lot more others. But
yeah, okay.
Agreed.
If anybody else doesn't have any other specifics on this, why don't we move on? Yamix wanted to take us into talk. Yeah, oddly enough, Yamix wants to talk about being probed.
I'd much rather probe Uranus, but okay.
Well, you know,
that joke should have come sooner.
Now so, you can.
Fortunately, somebody has already probed Uranus, right? That's got to be one of the reasons they probed Sol first, just to keep that nice. On top of it today.
Because of course.
Tell us about probes.
Right. So probes. So you approach a body. You touch it inappropriately with probes by shooting them out of your body, and you discover things, essentially, to put it lightly. But yeah, essentially, yeah, you again, the devs showcased the way that you'd be probes, and you know, now you don't need to go and resupply probes, which is the most important thing that they kind of changed, because well, as a gameplay aspect, well, because of the gameplay, I personally only accept to actually infinite probes, so go shoot probes, although you will be limited to 3 probes at the same time being deployed. So that limits the ability for you to just spam them, which again, from gameplay perspective, is properly done, and this is a rare instance where I actually completely agree with the way feature is developed from a design perspective. So there you go. And
just to drop that in.
The number 3 is of course multi-crew, yes.
So,
there's that.
Apparently you can have 2 people in multi-crew firing probes.
Because of course these days you can't go anywhere without organizing your multi-crew into everything or pushing.
Multi-crew work when you jump? Because you know, I'm going to be very honest,
Exegius.
Yeah, exactly.
Literally the first question I asked them when they brought this up in the meeting. Literally,
and the answer
I did. It was the one time in the day that we got a bit of a politician answer, where basically he said,
"Oh, okay, they don't need to answer that."
Well, no, he said, "Look, there's thousands of bug fixes, not talking about specifics of bug fixes today." And to be fair to them, no, before anyone butts in, to be fair to them, they did not talk about any bug fixes during the day. That wasn't why we were there. That wasn't. So to be fair to them, whilst it was a bit of a politician answer, it was also an entirely true
They did say one other thing about bug fixes, though, DJ. They did say that Chapter 4 is going to contain a lot of
I was about to say, yeah, it's thousands. He said that the length of the patch notes this time is going to be insane. It's more bug fixes than I think he said it was more bug fixes than in the Q1 patch, which had a lot of bug fixes.
I just want Leaving Wing to be fixed and NPCs on my pad. Only been here for like 2 years, so you know.
Oh, you know, Multicrew has been there forever.
Exactly. Back to Yammix.
Right, probes. So yeah, essentially the probing, event ding. You won't be able to, or you aren't supposed to sling a probe around the planet and gather all the information. It's essentially just hit points, and they will display a circle, a radius of a probed area, and that's how you basically discover things. So basically they told us a big fucking lie when they talked about, or rather showcase, maybe not showcase, but they actually did talk about and write about probes as to how they would scan. Of course, this is the instance of basically the gameplay features being changed just for the gameplay purposes and the ease of either coding, simplicity of the gameplay itself, and so on and so forth. Which is, again, I don't take any issue with that, because again, when it comes down to probes, I only agree, and I'm actually quite happy to see things being, you know, made and working at least. Time will show us issue with, but as it is, this is one of those instances where I might actually say properly. Of course, I won't say that now, but on beta, if it's the same thing, if it works, then well, it might be the second best thing to come to Elite, perhaps. You know, something like the whole 20,000 light year route planner, right? Something that simply works and provides just general improvements and enjoyability of the game. The thing is that the biggest enjoyability part, of course, comes from the fact that you know, such things as geological or other types of sites will be found and displayed as signal sources on the planet surfaces as you complete the probing. So yeah, become a proctologist, folks, and let's enjoy some nuggets. Yes. So that's essentially, no, again, as a content creator, I again, even though I hate the whole honking, you know, difference that will be coming in, I do really like the whole probe, you know, on signal source, geological or otherwise, displaying on your HUD and your contacts list and what else, because it will allow me to go on a fucking planet, any fucking planet, scan it, and it won't require me to go to a fucking wiki or Reddit or somewhere else to find where to find the goddamn geysers or lava sprouts or something like that. Something that is actually pretty fucking cool to film, and yet is so sparsely spread out throughout the galaxy that is disgusting and hard to find. So there is that. Of course, additional things like the lore related things. So there you go. Yeah. So from that aspect, probing, great. Probe my ass all day you want, and I'll thank you for it with this whole thing. So
I probe ass.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I was about
Ant. Yeah, Ant, what's your take on getting probed, Ant?
Yeah.
Have you been probed?
A sentence that I never thought I would ever say.
So, one thing that's going to be a lot better now, is that we're going to have the ability that when we leave any particular star system, we're going to know that we haven't missed anything there. I mean, how many?
Yes.
People been through now?
Great point.
We've bound to have gone past and into the system and left. Oh, yeah, Raxler anywhere.
Right.
How many times have we gone past something that's really interesting on a planetary surface? It's probably going to be thousands upon thousands of times we've done that.
Absolutely.
Explorer.
We were 2 kilometers away and we didn't know it, right?
Yeah, didn't know it. You've got to eyeball everything.
Yeah.
So you're now going to be, as long as you physically go over and map every planet, you're going to know that there's not anything within that planet that you've actually missed.
That's a godsend.
Yeah, anything within that system. And the fact that Frontier are obviously adding new stuff as well. They've said there's planetary phenomena as well as space-based phenomena. There's going to be other things to locate. So
did they say anything about generational ships, things like those that perhaps are not very close to any of the bodies? You know, some of the generation ships are really, really far away. Voyager too, right?
Yeah. That too. Understand. Everything like that will be discoverable with from the initial discovery honk. That'll show up as a spectral graph. That's my understanding of it anyway. And then points of interest on planets, obviously to do with mapping. We saw that yesterday in the stream, that one of them had like 8 or 9 points of interest down on the planet. So obviously there's going to be that, and that's going to be a little bit easier. And I think that kind of ties into the codex. Obviously there's going to be some discoveries out there, and I don't think it necessarily will be all of them, but there's going to be some discoveries out there that when you find them like that on the surface of planets, they'll become listed as for other people to find by using the codex. So that goes
and so
collaborative discoveries again.
If I if I was going to segue that, if you were done, I didn't want to step on your toes there.
That's okay.
Yeah, I was just saying, like I think that your point about finding things and not wondering is great, and segues into the next kind of thing on the list, which is USS locations. And I'm going to go first with POI locations, right? Just to clarify for everybody. Honestly, Yammy said a second ago, probes might be his favorite thing added, basically, and I think I might agree, right? The fact that now we finally will be able to scan a planet and know, look, there's 7, 2, 1, 0. 20, whatever it is, interesting things there. I can target it in my nav panel and fly right down to it, right? No more of this like, oh, somebody said there's some brain trees here, and okay, let me do super cruise navigation around the planet for 5 minutes, 10 minutes till I can line up, and I think that's a good skill to learn, like a gaming skill, and I kind of enjoy it, but at the same time, I would assume, like all of us at times, it's like, I just want to go see the damn thing. I don't want to have to sit here going, okay, I'm going the right, oh no shit, I passed it, turn around, all that crap, right? To me, that might be, so far of what they've announced, my single favorite new feature. And then that also takes us to USSs, and this is what you and I chatted briefly about the stream before about some stuff that you'd said in your video, and I went back and watched it, and it was more that I wondered if there's been clarification on how the persistent USSs are going to work, if that's something we can say, or if that's something that is still hinted at and stuff, because I guess my biggest question is, it seems that the new mechanic or the new meta is going to be, you jump into System X, it has a high-grade USS, and correct me if I'm wrong with any of this, a high-grade USS that shows on my scanner after I've honked, okay? That shows me what kind of USS it is and how long it's going to persist. I then will fly to it, farm it, jump out of the system, jump back into the system, honk again, and then find it wherever it's moved to and repeat. Does that sound accurate, or am I missing something in that loop?
My understanding, if it spawns, then you'll be able to find it. It might not necessarily spawn on that occasion, so maybe it won't be there. Whereas at the moment, you'll just keep flying around until one eventually spawns. But as they're all timer based, I guess you'll have to wait till that timer expires. Because
So
if you jump out of the system and jump back in, they're still going to be there. They won't generate a bunch until that timer runs out.
So it seems like then, from what I'm hearing from that, again, I think high-grade USSs are still going to be the bane of our existence. They're still going to fucking suck. We're still going to have to just fly around waiting for them to pop up.
You won't have to fly around waiting for them to pop up. When you jump into the system, you're bound to use the discovery tools, or maybe even scan the nav beacon. I don't know about that. But you're definitely about to use your exploration tools to see if there's one in the system right there and then. If it's not, you can then go onto another system and check that system. So
but then since you need,
it'll be different.
Since you need this, so let's just say for a second you need core dynamics, which spawn in Federation election systems, right? I find a Federation election system, I jump in, I honk. There's not a high grade there. I jump out, jump right back in, honk again, and I might get a high grade. I know you haven't played it, but is that kind of what I'm hearing? You think it'll work like?
No. If you jump out.
If it doesn't have a high grade when I first jump in, it will never have a high grade.
No, if you jump into the system and the USSs will be generated.
Yep.
Yeah, all of those USSs will then have a timer on them. And I think the time will be different for each USS.
Sure.
If you jump away from that system and then come back, all of those same USSs will still be present.
Right.
So if one of them is what you're looking for, it's going to be there. If it's not, then it will spawn eventually at a later point.
Right. Okay. So then, if that system doesn't have a high grade, and you specifically need a Fed election system, you're either still going to have to fly around until you get one to spawn. You're going to have to find another system that happens to have one, and then if you do have one, I'm guessing what we're going to wind up doing, so that you don't just have to sit in Super Cruise, is jump in, fly to it, drop on it, farm it, jump out, jump in, fly to it, farm it, like just do that loop over and over again. Right? Is that? I mean.
Well, they would expire. So once you've farmed it, it will be persistent. It would have expired.
Right.
If you jump away and come back again, it's still going to be in that same state you left it.
Right. So it would respawn again, right?
It won't. It won't respawn again. No, it won't, because it's persistent. If you've used it up, it's gone.
So hold on. Let me make sure, because now you're saying something. And sorry if I'm being too specific here, guys. I just want to get this. So you jump into let's just make this simple. I jump into Sol. I honk it. There's a high-grade USS that spawns. I'm going to make up a number. It's 100 light seconds away. All right? I fly to it. I farm it. I jump out. I jump back into Sol. Is that same high-grade still there 100 light seconds away? That's what I'm understanding.
Right. Okay, that's what you're saying. Well,
you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, from what
and
I
then we would fly to it again, farm it, jump out, jump in, fly to it, farm it, jump out. We would do that.
It should still be
persistent. No, I don't think they will.
So you're
thinking
it's... Hang on. To be fair, FDev haven't talked about this publicly yet.
Well, I'm trying to ask based on what's been said, because, and again, the reason I'm asking Ant this so much is the way he worded some stuff in the video he just did. And they have.
Sources. They've just not talked about the content of them. So yeah, we're guessing, because I've say all of them are going to be different depending on what's in them. Yeah.
Right. And so, so then again, we assume they're going to be persistent. It's not like at one point a second ago, Ant, you said you would have farmed it and it will be gone. It would be gone from that time you're in the system, but if you jump out of the system and come back, if it's persistent, we would believe that it would respawn again.
No.
Right?
No. If
it's not persistent.
That's the exact opposite. If it's persistent, if you've used it up, it would be gone forever.
No, that would mean it's not. If it's persistent, that means it persists.
You're thinking of a different word, persistent. I guess. Yeah, I see what you're saying. You're saying, does it persist?
Correct. The definition of persistence.
I guess we'll find out when the beta goes live, won't we?
So fair enough.
Find out next time.
Sorry, I didn't mean to go this deep with it. I was just trying to ask, because again, the way you worded it, Ant, kind of confused me. I'll just leave it there, right? So let's move on. Forgive me for taking that so long. Deejey, do you want to stay here, or do you want to go to the Codex?
I want to talk about the Codex.
Go for it.
Kind of thought you might.
Yeah, right? Because this isn't up my alley at all. Holy shit nuggets. I wasn't expecting, when they went into the Empire section and they started playing that bit, and it's actually voice acted, not a text-to-speech, actual voice acting, yeah? And they showed the different sections and how much there was in each section. They've gone further in depth than I thought they would, which I adore. there's multiple uses for it. I love the fact that the player journal stuff is being made evident in-game. The fact that your exploration discoveries will be retroactively displayed in your codex, that's brilliant, yeah? As a general rule, the codex is one of those things where it's all great. Yeah, it's just all great.
I noticed it was missing a Pilots Federation category.
I saw that comment.
Good point.
I saw that comment on the stream.
Fair, I have a feeling that's just because it's not finished yet.
I know, it could be that they put the Raxler one over it and the Raxler one's a joke.
I particularly believe the Raxler one is an utter troll. If the Raxler one is in there when it launches, I can promise everyone, all it's going to have is some myth and some legend.
Because, I mean, really, if you've got the Dark Wheel sitting there over on the left, the Raxler stuff should be in that one, shouldn't it? Really, it should be buried in amongst that, the stuff what we're talking about there. But anyway, yeah, other than that, I love it. I just love that codex. It's what we've wanted for a long time, isn't it?
Yeah, very much so. And the best thing about it, with that playlist editor as well, the fact that people will be able to be like, right, okay, tell me about the Empire while they're doing a run to Hutton Orbital or whatever. Yeah?
Yeah, I like that.
Beautiful. Utterly beautiful. Exactly. Like, it's not as good as, like, a nice little intro movie type experience that you could maybe do, but it's the next best thing. It's a lot... I always wanted the codex to basically be the codex from Mass Effect. That looks like what we're getting.
Just a quick question. Who here actually, on more than a very seldom basis, uses Galnet audio? Does anybody?
Every now and then, yeah.
No.
When I remember that Galnet.
So on a
audio
very
is
rare
a thing.
basis, then.
The problem with me is I'm so used to just reading Galnet that I forget that Galnet audio is a thing. If
1
I
out of
remember
6.
it's a thing,
Yeah,
then
1 out
I'll
of 6.
use it. Yeah, but
Same.
it's not that it's a bad thing. It's just that I forget it's there.
I would define that as bad, but let's keep going. DJ, were you finished with Codex? Because I know Yamix wanted to jump in.
Yeah, it's just awesome.
It's self-explanatory. There's not really much.
I kind of agree.
Yeah.
Yamix, what were your takes on the Codex?
Oh, right. So, holy shit, there's a lore in this game? And it's being presented to us? Holy shit! I mean, I did not expect that. Like, blatant lore being given and delivered to players in a proper manner. Well, maybe not the most proper manner or best manner, but at least in a manner that is easy to get. Oh my gods! And, well, okay, now I'm sounding very patronizing because I am. And guess why I am patronizing right about now? Because it took them that fucking long to even just give players, an average player, an option to learn something of the game. Because, again, the most lore that I've read in-game back in the day was literally from the fucking power play. The rest, again, somewhere else, and so on and so forth. So that is the one thing. The second thing is, of course, definitely fucking great that they are actually voicing those things. The next, that, well, not all the articles will be that big, but the fact that at least the few bunch pieces will be more than just a fucking paragraph. So that's also a nice thing, unlike the fucking tourist beacons and beacons in general. So fucking hell. Right, so let's see what else. Right, then there's of course the your own discovery thing, the fact that the galaxy now is divided in sectors. Nice thing, honestly, a nice little detail to put on top.
Yeah, I've got a point to add about that.
I'll quickly finish and then there's of course the knowledge base. There was the whole, of course, individuals, Raxla, blah blah blah. Honestly, I'm one of those people just don't care about Raxla. At this point, it's so old and so boring. It probably doesn't have anything interesting, anyways. I'm more interested in fucking Guardians, to be frank. But that's that. But even then, it's very minimal, and yeah, it's nice that it is segmented in categories and so on and so forth. So, Well, they did say something about rumors that they will finally be able to hint things that players not only put in some archaic, idiotic, overly complex and fucking annoying puzzles or just contrived bullshit in there. Just to say, we have such a plentiful role, don't we? Anyways. What I'm saying right now essentially can be summarized in just a little bit. They are finally actually doing a good thing, and I'm basically shitting on their past. Because they've finally done something good. So, yeah. They've proven that they can potentially do something. Again, once the beta comes and goes and whatnot else, we'll be able to say more about how it works and where its downfalls are or whatnot else. But this, regardless of that, it's still more than we've gotten before, and that's only a positive thing, even if it's just somewhere in the corner. At least it's something. So, Turjy.
Oh, yeah, I'll just
no, I think
mention it. Well,
go ahead.
People may have seen the iconic galaxy map that the Galactic Mapping Project people have done in the elite community. You can buy it as a poster, huge poster. Corbin Moran, the guy who's mostly behind that, he reckons that this numbering system that we saw on the Galaxy in the live stream doesn't make a right lot of sense when we've already got a system that has names on it. That's actually sort of like, it's not in the game, but it's like in the community and everybody's familiar with it. Explorer people familiar with it. And it uses the existing names that are on the Galaxy about Sagittarius, Carina arms, all these kind of things. So he's got a thread on the Frontier forum, if you want to go and check it out, where he's saying he wants to basically push to have the names on the Galaxy map instead of some arbitrary numbers that don't make a lot of sense and dividing it into sectors. So if you want to pop along the forum and find his thread there, Galactic Mapping thread, just give it a nudge. I think it's a good idea.
Okay, so with that, if we take it to the next topic, which now I'm not sure who's talking about what in it, but I'm going to send it to Deejey to talk about the new scenarios.
Squee. Seriously. Right, an article has come out about this.
Again for PC Games Zen, what a coincidence.
Were they the guys that leaked stuff last year?
So, an article has come out, and it has described one of the scenarios that has, and the scenario they spoke about was one that we saw. This is the most exciting thing in this update for me. I said earlier that the community exploring is my second favourite thing. This is the thing that I genuinely, from start to finish, when they were showing us the bit that's talked about in this article, I from start to finish had my jaw on the table and struggled to believe I was watching Elite. Fully voice acted. You have objectives. The one that they talk about, you go into a megaship, it's being attacked by a group of pirates. You can either side with the megaship and defend it. It gets in touch with you and it's like, Commander, we need help. And you can say yes or no. And if you say no, then the pirates are like, alright mate, welcome along. Join in. And then you get a set of objectives where you have to attack the megaship and destroy a certain number of things before the pirates are wiped out. Yeah? And then when they destroy a certain number of things, the megaship it sends out an SOS and it's deactivated and it's stranded, yeah? All voice acted, a persistent thing.
But how many of those would we have?
In the article, it's related to it's related to a thing in Guild Wars, very similar. And they make the point that it really does help to bring the galaxy to life a lot more. Elite felt more vibrant and more alive in that section than I've ever seen it. Ever. It was a new, like genuinely a step up in quality in basically every regard. Like no, there were no major new mechanics in it. There are some, which the article Does the article mention and that thing that I asked that I got very excited about?
That thing about the thing. I don't know. I'm going to say I don't know because I don't remember.
I don't think it does. There was something. Okay, so there's something that I can't talk about yet that I asked about that took it another step up. Yeah. What's here? It's amazing as it is, but there was something else about it that made me go, ooh. Even more. Yeah.
Are you excited?
So much. Seriously, when you said the scenarios, you can see in our chat. I just wrote "squeak" in capital letters.
Yeah.
It just plain simple excitement, and I genuinely did feel like it was a step up, something that I've never seen Frontier do before. And I think you can probably give a slightly less bouncy, excited view.
It's good. It was honestly, it was good to see. The article, I've just linked it in chat for people who haven't seen it yet. So as Deejey says, it's one of the scenarios. These, I believe, are in unidentified signal sources. I don't know if they're in unidentified signal sources or you get some sort of information before you jump into them. But basically, as soon as the guys were in the in this signal source, you could see the megaship. The megaship then contacts you, asking for help. You can decide whether you want to help or not. And these scenarios are tied into the background simulation, and it's mentioned in the article there that depending on the outcome of what you do there, whether you disable the megaship or whether you assist the megaship, it will impact the background simulation, and the game actually informs you of the effect it's actually had on the local economy and the local faction status, depending on the impacts you've had. So that sort of stuff is going to become more visible. It's also
there's a question to you both, DJ and Obsidian. How many such scenarios can we actually expect? Because again, if they are fully voiced and what else, then, well, knowing Frontier and in general any game developer, you'd expect things to be copy-pasted, at least to some degree.
No idea how many there's going to be. No.
Okay.
They did say they will keep adding them though.
Yeah, this is
because of the way they've built them in. They can keep adding.
Scenarios are as much we're getting the first batch of them, but as far as I understand it, scenarios are as much a tool set for them to use as anything else. Yeah.
Are they closer to what?
The objectives are one of the key things. Yeah, that's the thing you should really be focusing on here. You drop in and you get a list of objectives, so essentially submissions. Yeah.
Okay.
So it
no,
isn't
good,
just and those
all
objectives can run at the same time. Yeah, or they seemingly can be sequential, or they can run at the same time. Yeah. So that opens up a lot of options for them as far as mission crafting goes.
Question quickly is how do they compare to, for example, like World of Warcraft raids, if they are comparable?
No, I don't think that. I don't know. I've never played a World of Warcraft raid, but from what I know,
it's not really like that. It's not really like that.
No.
I mean, there's an element obviously where you go and you've got to defend the megaship, and you can have your wingmates come along and assist you, either saving it or attacking it. I'd imagine that's there. But you know, until it comes out, we're not gonna really know how far that goes or how deep that goes. But as
Malik has just said, Guild Wars 2 world events apparently
just about to mention that,
yeah. Oh, sorry, yeah.
That's fine. Yeah. That's okay. It's like the same thing. If you've played Guild Wars 2, you know about the Living World events.
Yep. They are really fun. They are really fun.
It's the same
actually,
thing.
So
it's the same thing as that, more or less.
All right. We'll see. Very well then. Well, I guess we carry on then. If there's nothing else about scenarios.
Can I squee one last time?
No.
Yeah, I'll just say it's something that I've wanted.
Hold it in and you know, rub one out later on.
Yeah, I'll just say that.
Can you not do this? Can you not do that then? Go on, just once.
Sounds more like a Turjy bit.
Right then, UI changes in that case. Well, since I'm talking, might as well open it. All right, so UI changes. Essentially, what people expected in some ways, or fanboys expected in some way from the forums, that it would be a new UI, and no, it's not. Essentially, what they did with the UI is change it a little bit, move buttons here and there, and the bottom line is that some of the statistics, for example, were moved right into the codex. So for someone like Exigeous, who said that he would he tends to check up on his stats quite often, that would be quite a bothersome thing to do if you need to open codex constantly. While on the other hand, for me, a person that does check his stats quite a bit, but doesn't check them every single fucking second or something like that, for me, having it moved to more easier to read sort of a place is a good thing. So again, it depends on your preference on the whole menus and so on and so forth. Of course, they did change a little bit on, actually quite a bit of the left-right panel. That is, functions will be changed, which looked okay. The one thing that I didn't personally like the change was on the inventory side, or how did they pronounce it? Did you remember?
Inventory. That's what they kept.
They kept saying inventory, and every time
I think he means it's an inventory. Right? He's not inventing something here.
I say inventory, so fuck off, you wanker. Right. So anyway.
Wait, are we trying to decide something how it's pronounced based on the way you pronounce it? Because come on.
Yes, I am. I'm always correct. Everyone else is wrong. Screw up.
Gotcha. How do you say immersion?
Right. DJ's always right.
Immersion.
There it is. There it is.
I thank you. Frontier clearly stated that I was correct on their stream yesterday.
That's right. They did. Yes.
I call bullshit. They are wrong. Everyone's wrong. Anyways, carrying on about the UI then. So the inventory side, the whole thing. Now, the issue that I have is that they are changing the look of that particular menu from text-based designation to icon-based designation. Now, icon designation, of course, takes up less space, which is good. But on the other hand, icons in Elite are not that iconic, and they are kind of hard to remember, to be frank. And when you have plenty of those things, well, you're better off with a written thing, especially if you are a new player. I find personally the whole UI change to icon-based UI to be not a smart move. I really did prefer a written one, because again, even right now with 2,000 plus hours in the game, I still I don't remember a single thing in my synthesis, material and data tabs, or which one comes after which one, because, well, I don't really use them that much, or I just simply don't want to remember. And well, it's going to be even more confusing to use after the change with the icon-based. Now, of course, some people will enjoy the icon-based one because, well, hey, there are different folks. So that is basically the change. As for other things, they're, again, moving things around here and there, and there are some little quality of life improvements, but not that many. If you want to see a system starport menu change, which I personally find basically the biggest issue with the game when it comes down to UI, of course, then that probably won't be changed, so good luck with that. As Exigeous pointed out, that he seemed, or rather he thought, I presume, that UI seems like it could be changed or something like that, and then
just again, new HUD.
New HUD. I highly doubt it, but again, until beta comes, we never know. Presumably, since they haven't said anything, it won't be coming, because expecting suddenly.
I think what we saw was the UI changes, right? I mean, we saw UI changes. To me, when I read HUD changes, I'm thinking we just got into a Cadillac versus we've been in a Mercedes, and the dash actually, looks different.
Yeah.
But that's obviously too much to dream.
Right. Command panel. What was that about? Command panel.
Well, there was the squadron panel as part of the comms panel.
Oh, that right. Yeah, we got some new extra boxes on that menu. Honestly, I find the number 2 menu, the comm panel, to be actually kind of, well, shit. but well, whatever. That's just me. So there's that. But yeah, some changes here and there. So a little snippets, nuggets of I guess improvement, magic, I guess here and there. Then there's of course finally fire groups. Yeah, again, it's fire groups getting. Did they say that it will be differently colored, or is it just?
I think it was just the AB from 1-2.
I see. Okay, so yeah, they're changing a couple of things in the fire groups. They're changing in, of course, the statistics and so forth. So that's basically the quick and dry about the whole thing, more or less. So I don't know. Anyone else? Did I miss anything?
No, I think you got it. If anybody else doesn't have anything to add on to, since we're right here at the end, I suggest we kind of move on to our closing. Let everybody have a closing thought. Unless there's something anybody else wants to chime in on that.
Silence means that no one. So let's give our last final thoughts. So going alphabetically, I suppose, would be just fine.
Yeah, go ahead,
Jane. Your thoughts in a couple of words about the whole stream that they did, or news?
I think that just generally, this is the first part of, and I said when we got back, we understood why it had been quiet, the amount of stuff in this update. This is part one, and I think they're showing what we mean. There is so much to this update, and it's all of this, it's all like this. This is so, it is different. I've not seen an update like this from FDev before, and I'm very excited.
I guess I'm next. I'll go alphabetical next. Yeah, I mean, for the most part, I'm very excited about it. Right. I think I think for the most part, everything looks great. I think specifically the new changes to exploration are nothing but great. I have a few concerns. Like I said, I mean, mine are very specific with like high-grade USSs and with Road to Riches. I think as long as those don't get worse, then specifically the Road to Riches part, as long as that is still, and again, to clarify, as long as you can make 10 million an hour with the new system, then absolutely fantastic. From the mechanics of what it looks like, I can't wait, personally. Ant, want to kick it to you next?
Yeah. Personally, I think it's going to be the best update they've done so far. Obviously,
nice and
nice and sweet. Yeah, there's always the potential problems of things not being quite how we perceive them to be, or not. There might be bugs and things like that. But as for the content itself, the content I've seen, I think I can't find much fault with it. To be perfectly honest, I really like the changes that we saw yesterday on the stream. All the exploration stuff is really good.
Yeah,
I can relate to some of the criticisms that Turjy brought up, but I'm kind of thinking that the overall general improvements are going to be more beneficial than they are negative. So yeah, I think it's going to be really, really good.
Yeah, Spatula, what's your thoughts?
I agree with all that has been said. That said, I think what I'm really looking forward to, and I know that the stream's coming up, is going to be the reveal of the Panther Clipper. I think that's going to really make the Q4 update.
Right. No. Panther Clipper will never come. It's just a great troll.
Yeah. No, but I'm serious. I'm kind of.
Well, Spatula's never going to give it up. He's never going to let it go.
Yeah.
He's one of those internet trolls.
I need it. I need it. I am definitely. Yeah.
You go to hell.
Wow. But yeah, no.
Did nobody else notice he just ripped rolled us all?
Never gonna let you down. Never gonna turn around and desert you.
Make it clear why I'm telling Turjy to go to hell.
They don't spend as much time on co-host stream as I do.
We've definitely entered the darker time stream. But I'll just say this to wrap, because I gotta fly, so I have to go. But I think the fact that this one stream that we've seen is the first bit of the Q4, I'm kind of overwhelmed. It's going to be pretty crazy to see more. Especially the mining thing, I think also is going to be very neat. So I'm going to be tuned into the live streams, and I think there's going to be a lot to talk about over the next few months. That's for sure.
Turjy, what's your thoughts?
Yeah. Well, I love all of this update, with the exception of that one thing which I hate with a passion. That's it.
Well, that's easy. Yammy.
Thanks for passing on baton, Turjy. Nice to know I'm being remembered. But no, seriously though, the whole update, right? So, the thing is, the whole update as it goes on. Now, I've mentioned this a couple of times before. Now, of course, these changes that have been, showcased to us and talked about. Of course, probing is my definitely the most sort of interested change, I'd say. I definitely want to see how it works. I definitely want to see how it goes on, and if it helps me make more interesting and more beautiful videos, oh, that's great. Just like with the camera change, I was very happy to see that. So probing just because of the, again, not because of exploration, but because of the filming aspect. Yeah, I might be actually happy for once. Who knows? We'll see. But as for everything else, well, it's okay. The UI change is a bit off. I'd say the codex is a good addition. We'll see how that pans out for the future. Of course, because of the whole probing thing and the codex, we'll finally get the lore on average person moving on, which is definitely something that should have happened. Oh, I don't fucking know, 2 years at the very least ago. But hey, that's just me. What am I to expect things, right? But again, I'm just being very sarcastic and patronizing because now they're finally doing something that they should have done, and they're doing good things, and mostly with the whole thing. We'll see how the rest of the stuff pans out. Though, the whole beta, 4 weeks of beta, and honestly, I don't find it to be that good. I find the whole 4 weeks of beta to be essentially a stall for time, either because of some sort of a feature or something else. That's my conspiracy, of course. But 4 weeks of beta, that really seems like way too much, especially considering that the last week has nothing in it. The week before that has fucking ships, which are literally just easiest thing to put in the fucking game aside from modules. So yeah, that again, it's to suspect for me. So yeah, that aside, would this update redeem Elite for this year? Doubt it. They had plenty of opportunities to make things interesting throughout the year, but they just simply took a break and just worked on the last update. Okay. Still, I don't think this one update will just satisfy the whole advancement in the game. That a whole year's worth of updates normally would have brought in the past. Time will show, of course.
Why did we let Yammy?
We should have got in reverse alphabetical order, shouldn't we?
Why do we let Yammy end us out so we're all ready to split our wrists now?
I know.
Also, I've never heard such nonsense.
Next time, go reverse alphabetical.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm going to take us back to. I'm going to finish this out unless somebody else has something to jump in. I'm going to we know what you think. Just to let everybody know, we'll obviously continue to do these over the, for the foreseeable future, but specifically next week on the live stream, somebody, Ant just threw it up, is going to be the BGS changes and scenario interaction. So a little bit what we talked about is going to be next week on the 25th. We'll then be back on the 27th. If somebody correct me if I got the date wrong. Just like we did this week to break down what we think of it. We'll just continue to do that, the next 2 weeks until beta launches. To remind everybody, beta does launch on the 30th. That's on a Tuesday. Same as Yammy's just said, it'll run 4 weeks. There's new things that come each week in the beta. And my gut
aside
says
from the last one.
Yeah, especially the last one, right? My gut says we won't actually see a release of the game until maybe late the first week, or I'm thinking the second week of December is my gut guess. Right?
We'll see. Yeah, that's.
We should actually, you know what? We should have a guessing game, and whoever gets closest, donates a skin to a viewer. I don't know, something like that. We should think of a little game to play on guess the date. But unless there's anything else, I'll close us out. I've been Exegious. Thanks for letting me chat with everybody today. And let's run down the list, DJ. And if you guys are streaming afterwards, let everybody know.
Yeah,
and I'm going to be
for a while, so.
Yeah.
A little few minutes. Yeah.
Do I talk or do I talk or does Ant talk?
Yeah, no.
Because I put the thing in and you said Ant.
Oh, sorry. You know what? I see ants right above that. When I looked, I just assumed it was from Ant. My apologies, buddy.
I'm literally pulling your leg, man.
No, I know you are, but still.
Thank you very much. Have a lovely evening, everybody, and we'll see you all soon.
Wait, you have legs?
See you then.
I don't.
Wait a minute. I have legs? Oh, shit. So yeah, and I'm going to be streaming. Ant, you're streaming some more.
Yeah.
Yamix, are you going to stay on?
I will be a little bit on, so yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks again, guys. It was fun.
Bye.
Catch everybody next week.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
All right, yeah. So I gotta go because I'm going to Iceland. Ah! And I gotta go catch a plane soon. So goodbye. Thanks for watching. And yeah, the plan is kind of as we get closer to the winter, I'm gonna do more streaming. I've been kind of slacking it on that, working on some videos. I've got 2 videos in the pipe right now. Hopefully one will be squeezed out before the end of the month for this gentleman here. Bradford! Hello everybody. Shut up, Bradford! Get away from here. I literally gotta go. Okay, bye. Wait, no, that's not how I end the stream. I'm gonna end the game, and then I will end the stream. But thanks for sticking around and watching, and it was fun. Good discussion. Looking forward to stuff. And goodbye.